Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we've got some football to talk about today. Today, we're going to breeze through some of the news and then do a one-round mock draft. Wake and Take mock draft 3.0 coming up at the back of the show, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And, of course, the news that we will be discussing, Anthony Richardson, Jaylen Waddle, and plenty more. So go ahead, take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, everyone, welcome in. Glad to see you all early this morning, hitting the live stream streets, if you will, 9:30 a.m. as opposed to the usual 10, as we will be having a player profiler AMA at 10 a.m. with Theo Greminger, with Alan Seslowski. So make sure you go tune into that. Make sure you ask them all the questions that you have for Dynasty. But before that, I'm here as usual to talk football with you guys this wonderful morning. So welcome in. Let's go ahead and get going. And sorry, my allergies are crazy, absolutely crazy this morning. So if like I kind of like get tickly or whatever, you know why. But either way, here we go. Football. We're going to start with Rachaad White. Just kind of found a quote this morning from Rachaad White, just about how he feels about his performance so far in the league and how he feels, I guess, a bit disrespected. He says that he's seen people kind of leaving him out when they're talking about the Buccaneers, and he just wants to make people fear him. He wants people to respect him when he comes in the game. He says it's not just 13 and 14, but you've got number 1 to worry about as well. And he goes on to even kind of mention about how he knows he hasn't been super efficient as a runner. So right now, I'm not where I want to be in my career, yards per carry wise and things like that. Just like being an efficient running back. I think for me, that's what the next step is. The efficient running backs over the course of time, I've studied are Walter Payton and such, where they've averaged at least 4 yards a carry. So that's kind of what he's looking for. He wants to bring his efficiency up. Over the last 2 seasons, he's averaged about 3.6 yards per carry, 3.6 last year, 3.7 the year before that. And really, most of his production has come from the receiving game, on top of getting, yes, a lot of volume, but as we mentioned, he hasn't been super efficient with it. But last year, he did add 64 receptions for 550 yards, scoring a total of 9 touchdowns. So not the most efficient running back in the world, but certainly good out of the backfield. And there is a new offensive coordinator coming to town from Sean McVay, who, in those systems has effectively used running backs as not just a pass catcher, but also just as a pure running back as well. So things are kind of looking up for Rachaad White. And I'm just glad to see that he knows he's not that efficient, that he does want to kind of bring that up a little bit going into next season. Now, of course, every running back wants that, but just, hearing him come out and say that, that's kind of the big thing for me. But if you look at his profile, as mentioned, I mean, he has a ton of productivity and opportunity. He was 7th in opportunity share last year, took that for the 14th most rushing yards and 3rd most receiving yards amongst running backs. He had the 2nd most routes run. He was 3rd in route participation, 5th in yards per reception. So, I mean, genuinely a really, really good receiving running back. So I'm just excited to see what happens there. The thing is, he was just not that efficient. He was 6th in evaded tackles, but otherwise was not very good. He was 145th in expected points added, EPA, and 47th in breakaway run rate. So those are 2 categories that really, really do effectively measure the efficiency of a player for your fantasy squad. And he was not good in those. So we'll kind of see what happens with the Buccaneers in terms of their running back room. There is a world where they add some competition. I know last year they tried with Sean Tucker. He didn't work out. They might go right back to the well, just because this is a team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that kind of has everything else figured out. And they also have the running back situation figured out. They have like everything figured out. And those types of teams are the ones who can kind of take those luxury picks, like a running back, like a backup quarterback, stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they added someone, but still Rachaad White's going to be the bell cow, going to be the main guy next year. And I'm excited to see what he can do now in year 3. So again, he's hyping himself up, feels he's been disrespected, and wants to prove people wrong next year. So great news if you roster Rachaad White. And just hopefully the Buccaneers don't spend high draft capital on another running back. They might spend some, but I don't think anyone will truly significantly eat into Rachaad White's usage. So before we get to the next one, I want to answer a quick question. Hunter W asks, do I answer Dynasty questions? And as Franz points out in response, yes, I do. Go ahead and start putting those questions in the chat. If they're relevant to what I'm talking about, I'll answer it then. If not, we'll push it to the back of the show. But either way, yes, I'll get to your questions. Thanks for tuning in. All right. The next bit of news I want to talk about is Courtland Sutton. Right now, Courtland Sutton is skipping out on the Denver Broncos voluntary offseason training camp. This comes because he only has $2 million in guaranteed money on his contract this season. Now, he can earn up to $13 million with his base salary and stuff like that, but only $2 million of it is guaranteed. And given he's had a season-ending injury before, given the quarterback situation is so murky in Denver, it makes sense for Courtland Sutton to be sitting out here, not really put in that extra effort. Does that mean he won't be playing next year? That I don't know. I think he is definitely trying to get a new contract, but I don't know what it is about Courtland Sutton, guys. It's not a wide receiver I particularly like for fantasy football. I know he's been fine, but that's just it, right? And there's so many fine wide receivers. So I don't know really how much leverage he has. 770 receiving yards last year, 800 receiving yards the year before that, 770 receiving yards again the year before that. Really, the big thing comes as he scored 10 of his 14 touchdowns over the last 3 seasons. Last year, scoring 10 touchdowns last season, which was 5th in the league amongst wide receivers. So obviously really, really good wide receiver in the touchdown department, but otherwise he's just been fine. And so I don't know what the Denver Broncos can really do for him. Maybe give him a little bit more guaranteed money or something, restructure the contract in a way for that. But I don't know how much more wiggle room there really is for a wide receiver like Courtland Sutton, especially with his injury history and the fact he hasn't been necessarily prolific, just been, reliable. And of course, nothing wrong with that. But I think like $13 million, what his contract is at right now, is about what it's worth. It's just more so he needs some more guaranteed money, which I get, especially if you're a player with injuries history and getting up there in age and having a bad quarterback. Like, you want to get your bag while you can. So I wish him all the best, just not sure what's really going to be available for him in terms of, just this contract negotiation process. Again, he hasn't even had 1,000 yards over the last 3 seasons. It's really only averaging about 10 to 11 fantasy points per game. Has only had 100 targets once over the last 3 seasons. Like, this is just a guy who's a reliable target who could score you some touchdowns, but not necessarily worth a ton of money on the wide receiver market. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes, but I'm not expecting too much to go monetarily towards Courtland Sutton. And eventually I think he probably will start practicing and get out there for the season. I mean, he wants to earn the rest of his $13 million in whichever way he can, whether it be sitting out now to get it guaranteed with some sort of negotiation tactic, or just, sucking it up and suiting up and playing football next season. So we'll see how that goes. Another wide receiver who is, locking down some money is Jaylen Waddle. Jaylen Waddle, the Miami Dolphins are picking up his 5th-year option, while expected to pick it up. They haven't officially picked it up yet, but they came out yesterday saying that they will, and it makes a ton of sense. Jaylen Waddle has been really, really good in his first 3 seasons, and of course, the wide receiver market is just getting more and more expensive as the days go on. Over the last 3 years, he's had 1,000 receiving yards in all of them. He's had 4 touchdowns in all of them. He's had 14 or more points per game in all of them. He's had 100 targets or more in all of them. Just been a very, very effective wide receiver for them. And in the efficiency, he's been really, really good as well. Top 10 in yards per route run, which is awesome. Of course, top 10 in EPA. So, I mean, it's just exactly what you want to see. He's 2nd in route win rate last season as well. So Jaylen Waddle sticking with the Dolphins. It might turn into something more, but either way, he's only going into year 4 now, knowing that they have another year also on top of it. We probably won't hear about anything with a contract extension in Jaylen Waddle's name until next offseason, but still really good for him, good for the Dolphins as well, as they keep more of their core together. And Jaylen Waddle is getting some money. Good for him. Which brings us to Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson, yesterday, Shane Steichen came out and said this: Anthony Richardson is in a really good spot. We've had really good discussions that I'll keep private, but he's in a really good spot. His shoulder's feeling good, so he should be good to go for practices like we talked about earlier. He'll be out there throwing, but we'll limit it. We'll obviously monitor it, make sure we're smart with it, but he's definitely in a really good place. So great to hear head coach Shane Steichen coming out and saying that Anthony Richardson's recovery is going well with his shoulder. Exactly what you want to hear. Kind of what we've expected anyway. We're kind of all expecting Anthony Richardson to come back this season and play well, but it's just good to hear the coaches say that. It's good to hear that he's already throwing, especially with it being kind of the voluntary part. And it's good to hear that they're taking it slow. So it's just kind of all good all around. Good for Anthony Richardson, wishing him the best in his recovery. Just really the big thing is we just kind of hope that he has changed his play style at least a little bit. He's kind of running into contact a bit too much, which was leading to his numerous injuries last season. Hopefully he's a bit more cautious. I'm sure he will be. So that's the Anthony Richardson update. He's looking really good. He's looking good. Shane Steichen is excited, thinks he's in a good spot, and that's exactly what you want to hear about Anthony Richardson going into year 2. And speaking of young quarterbacks, the Washington Commanders are hosting a visit, a super visit, if you will, for this year's rookie quarterbacks. Yesterday, they invited Jayden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Drake May, and Michael Penix all over to the Washington Commanders facilities. They stayed there yesterday. They will be there today as well. 4 rookie quarterbacks at the organization at the same time. What that tells me is, of course, the Washington Commanders want a quarterback, and they probably want one of the big 2, Jayden Daniels or Drake May or J.J. McCarthy, as he kind of makes this a big 3. But there's also a world, I think, with them visiting Michael Penix, that the trade down is still kind of on the table for them. I can't imagine it wouldn't be if they're hosting Michael Penix. I think that when you see them hosting a quarterback that's expected to go later, that's kind of your logical conclusion, is that they might be, potentially trading back. Now, I don't think they will. I think that they will probably pick between Daniels, May, or McCarthy, but still it's cool to see that they still have the window open. And this just brings home the point, right? Everyone always wonders, like, all these NFL teams have so much. They have all offseason to figure out they pick. Why do they take so long to make their pick? It's because they really don't know. It's a huge decision, and they've got to do their due diligence in every single regard. So the Washington Commanders meeting with 4 different rookie quarterbacks at the same time, which I think is cool, right? You kind of get to see them all next to each other, how they stack up. You get to see everything all at once. So I'm excited to see how this goes. Excited to see who kind of wins the Hunger Games, if you will, with pick number 2 in just a week's time. So that leads us to our last bit of news, and it's not even that much news, but in case you guys missed it, Travis Kelce will be hosting a brand new game show for Amazon Prime Video. Travis Kelce has been announced as the host of Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? Yes, guys, that's true. They are revamping Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader with celebrities, and it'll be hosted by Travis Kelce on Amazon Prime. It is a 20-episode TV series that's already been greenlighted with money going that way. It's expected to come out soon as well, per the release from Amazon Prime Video. So look for Travis Kelce on your screens in just a few months' time on not just the NFL, but also hosting Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? How exciting is that? I love celebrity culture. It's incredible. Sarcasm there. So anyway, good for Travis Kelce, I guess. Does kind of, make me a little worried. We already know his brother's retired. We already know that he has the podcast. So seeing him continuously get these kind of Hollywood jobs makes me feel like we're not going to have much Travis Kelce left in his NFL. This could be his last go of it. So just kind of, if you have Travis Kelce, you better be competing, is all I'll say. So that is it for all the news, you guys. I did want to go ahead and do one more mock draft at least. I'm sure we'll have another one before the draft, but it's that time of year, right? We've only got a week left before the draft kicks off next Thursday. So we might as well keep doing these mocks. I know some of you don't like them, but I know some of you do. So let's just go ahead and get right on into it. However, before we get to that, I do want to play a quick word from our sponsor.
It is NFL draft season and the wait is over. The Player Profiler Rookie Guide is available. It's live on the site now. Right there in the nav bar, click on the 2024 Rookie Guide to download it. It's so comprehensive. We're ranking and writing up more players than anybody. And this year, we're providing athleticism scores. We're doubling the number of advanced stats on each player profile. And guess who's back? Cody Carpentier. But it's not just him. It's Theo. It's Matty Kiwoom. It's John Lobb. And the Undroppables. all coming together to provide their composite rankings. And this year we're adding Superflex Tight End Premium because that's now become such a popular format. So get those composite ranks, get the write-ups, the comps, the stats and metrics you want. If you already have Dynasty Lux, you already have it. But if you don't, it's right there in the nav bar on PlayerProfiler.com. It's $20. It's not the first. It's not the most expensive, but it is the best.
Get that rookie guide. You can get it for $20 on Player Profiler, or you can also get the Dynasty Deluxe subscription, which includes the rookie guide. Poured my heart and soul into getting that thing put out, along with an incredible amount of team members all coming together. Shout out Brittany, shout out Seth, shout out Colin, shout out Theo, and everyone else who worked on that rookie guide. It's really just incredible stuff, and so glad it is available now. So make sure you get it. It's rookie season, guys. Go get that rookie guide. I see one question, and then we're going to do the mock. Hunter W asks, which side do I like more, Michael Pittman and the 24 third, or Stephon Diggs, the 109, the 25 second, and a 302? Give me the Diggs and 109 side, especially since you're also getting the 302 and a 25 second. I think that those are all really, really solid picks. The 302 and the 303 kind of cancel each other out. So essentially you're trading Pittman for Stephon Diggs, the 109, and a second next year. I think that's an incredible return, especially if you are competing. I think with the 109, I think like basically Michael Pittman's worth like the 109 almost in a super flex league. You know, you might have to add a little bit to get to Pittman, but there's still a world right now where the Colts could be trading up to get a wide receiver. We've been seeing that in a few mocks, or just getting another wide receiver in general. So I would say go with the Diggs side, especially if you're competing. I think that those draft picks are really, really nice. And Diggs and Pittman will probably score about the same amount of points for your team next year. So that's where I am at. Let's go ahead and go to the Pro Football Network. We're doing it again, guys. We're doing the dang thing. This is the Wake and Take Mock 3.0. Let me go ahead, take off that banner, put on this logo, and we're just going to do one round, and we're going to do all the teams again. I didn't like the 2-round one we did. That dragged too long. It dragged too long. We don't know enough, right? We're even real analysts, like people who work for the NFL, don't know enough really to do a 2-3 round mock. So we're not going to do it. We're just going to do the one round. And of course, Caleb Williams with the 101. And I don't know what it is. I just really think the Commanders want Drake May. I know right now that Jaden Daniels is the favorite to go to the Washington, but Drake May and Cliff Kingsbury just seems right to me. It just seems like the quarterback that they want. And I think ultimately both quarterbacks, Drake May and Jaden Daniels, are being looked at like a project quarterback. And so I think the one with just kind of the stronger arm and a few more of the intangibles that we haven't quite seen yet, as well as being younger, will entice the Commanders to go that route. So let's go ahead and now with pick number 3, the Patriots, I think, are the most interesting team to watch here. And I have been wavering on this time and time again. My original thought was they should just get Marvin Harrison Jr. if they stay put, which is kind of still where my head is at. But it does seem more and more likely they'll go quarterback or trade back. But I don't know what they could really do to trade back. So for the purposes of this mock, we are going to just have them take Jaden Daniels. They're happy that Jaden Daniels slipped to them. And they're just going to do it. And the Cardinals now sitting at 4. There's a lot of things that they could do here. There really, really is. And I think that it is a wide receiver that they want. I really, really do. And so I'm just going to give them Marvin Harrison Jr. And the Chargers now sitting on the clock are a little bit upset. They wanted Marvin Harrison Jr. They truly, truly did. But they're going to have to settle. And they're going to have to get Malik Neighbors. And now the Giants on the clock. There's so many different ways they could go. The Giants, another team that I think is just so interesting to watch what they do, because we know that they're tied to some quarterbacks. We know that they're tied to wide receivers. We know that they could use offensive tackle as well. And I am currently in the mindset that the Giants really do need some help. With Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors going, I think that that'll make them stay put and go with the offensive tackle route. And that snipes the Titans of Joe Alt, but the Titans are just fine getting Fashanu as well. I think that they could go back-to-back, no problem, which now leads us to the Falcons sitting here at number 8. And again, I just don't think the Falcons pick here. I don't think they do. I think that the Broncos trade up. This is the one that I keep doing in all of my mocks. I really think that this is the trade. Cool. So basically, we'll just, for the intents and purposes of this, they gave the pick 12 and next year's first to go up to pick number 8 to draft their quarterback of the future, JJ McCarthy. Again, guys, JJ McCarthy to me is the quarterback Sean Payton wants. I know that JJ McCarthy is also tied to the Vikings, but I just don't see it. When I imagine a Vikings quarterback, that quarterback is not JJ McCarthy. I think that it's either Penix or Bo Nix, so we'll see what happens here. Now, the Bears on the clock, they could also go a bunch of different ways. I think if someone trades up to go with the Falcons at number 8, like the Broncos, to get JJ McCarthy, like I think they will, I think the Bears just stay put and get themselves an edge. They'll get the youngest edge rusher in the draft, Dallas Turner. And now the Jets are on the clock, and they're going to get Rome Odunze. They're going to get Rome Odunze to sit pretty with their wide receiver room. So yeah, I like it a lot for them to get Rome Odunze. I've seen people trading up for that, but I think the Jets could use one more wide receiver. I know they're tied to that as well. So Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, Rome Odunze as their room. And now the Vikings at 11 also need more than a few things. And I think with their 11th pick that they would either go edge or corner. And I'm just going to go ahead and give them Quinyon Mitchell. I think that that's the best corner in this year's draft, and they could definitely use it. So I'm just going to go ahead and have them stay there and pick there. And then I'm going to go ahead and give Laitu Latu to the Atlanta Falcons at pick number 12. And now the Raiders up at pick 13. They could also go a number of different ways. I see corners a need here. I do see that as well. So, and so is offensive tackle. I'm going to give them O-line. They're going to get Fuaga out of Oregon State, making the Saints upset, but not too upset, as they're going to go ahead and add edge. I know that they could go O-line, they could get Fontenot, but I think that they want to add their edge rushing prowess, and Jared Verse slipping to 14 is a really, really good value for them, especially with their NFC South opponent, the Atlanta Falcons, sitting there at pick 12, getting another edge rusher. They certainly want one as well. And now the Colts on the clock at pick 15. They could go a number of different ways here, but I'm going to do the one that upsets me the most, and that's them getting Brock Bowers. You guys know that I am a Jelani Woods truther for some reason, but if the Colts do draft Brock Bowers, that's done. That's done. They will just be there. They will get Brock Bowers, and they will probably draft him, and it'll kill Jelani Woods. But we've seen now time and time again from the Indianapolis Colts that the tight end just performs well, especially last season. There was 11 touchdowns, almost 900 yards. If you combine all of the stats from all of their tight ends last season, a true alpha tight end like Brock Bowers would be special on that team. So now the Seahawks are on the clock, and you guys know who I think they're going to pick. But I think that there's also a chance that they trade back just a tiny bit. I don't know who it would be with. I think that 16 is a very interesting trade back spot. We're going to do the Steelers. We're going to do the Steelers trade up with, actually, we're just going to have them stay put. I don't feel like doing all that. Let's just say my take is that they kind of trade back or whatever and get Michael Penix slightly later. But just for the purposes of locking this down, we're going to give them Michael Penix at 16. And then with the Jaguars on the clock, they're going to go corner and get Terrion Arnold. I think that they could either go wide receiver or corner for this draft, but they're going to go corner in this mock. And Terrion Arnold is just such a good one that they will be very excited with that. And now the Bengals on the clock. They could go a number of different ways here, but I think that they would probably want either a DT to kind of replace what is his name who left? It doesn't matter. Their defensive tackle left, but they also still need offensive line as well. And I think that they will just stay there and pick Fontenot and just be happy about it. And now the Rams sitting here as well. Lots of different ways they could go, but I think that they also just want to go ahead and shore up that offensive line just a little bit. And I'll give them J.C. Latham out of Alabama, leaving Amarius Mims to the Steelers. So a little bit of a tackle run before the Dolphins come up on the clock. And they are really upset. They are like, whoa, wait a second. That's kind of what we wanted. So they're just going to be sitting here like, geez. But, there's a decent guard. They might try to trade back or something, but ultimately they'll probably just get Mr. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Okay, whatever. I guess I thought that the C was a G, but either way, right? They need some offensive line. Whew, man, right? They do. I'm gonna have them trade back. Who could they trade back with? This is perfect. This is perfect. I know it's in division. But this is perfect. Let's go ahead and give them. Does this work? 28 and 60? Rejected. I wish. The only thing about this Pro Football Network one is that it just does not let you do trades very easily. So 28 and 60 didn't work. Let's just say that they give up next year's second as well. That should be plenty. Whatever. Okay. How do I do that? I'm just going to force one. I'm just going to do something crazy just for the intents of this actually coming out the right way. I'm going to have the Bills moving up. I'm just going to throw a bunch of stuff their way. This is probably not actually what happens, but the Bills moving up to pick right now so they can get Brian Thomas Jr. getting that wide receiver after one slips. I think that is perfect for them. And then, of course, leaving one of the centers for the Eagles that they desperately need. They'll probably go with Jackson Powers Johnson or Graham Barton, but I'm going to go ahead and give them JPJ just because it's more marketable. It sounds cool. The Vikings now on the clock at 23. You guys already know I want them to get a quarterback, and I think they'll go ahead and go with Bo Nix, which now the Cowboys are on the clock at 24. They need a number of different things as well. OT, center, linebacker, all sorts of fun stuff. But I think that they are in the wide receiver market, and I think they want a speedy guy out of Texas. Go ahead and get themselves some Xavier-worthy action. And now the Packers on the clock. Go ahead and get themselves some Nate Wiggins action. Help shore up that secondary just a little bit, leaving Chop Robinson to the Buccaneers. And now the Cardinals back on the clock. They got wide receiver earlier. There's a number of different ways they could go, but I think that they would then turn to defense and just go with, I think either Johnny Newton or Byron Murphy would be the good pick. Who has the better athleticism score? Let's see. We'll go with Byron Murphy. We'll just give him Byron Murphy. And now the Dolphins on the clock can get the offensive lineman that they probably would have picked if they didn't trade back anyway. And now the Lions sitting here, they know that they could just get anything they want, essentially. They've got a really, really good team, and they will go ahead and get a corner, Kool-Aid McKinstry. And now the Ravens on the clock, they need wide receiver. I think they'll add a slightly speedy guy, Adonai Mitchell. And now the 49ers on the clock. Yeah, they get Tyler Guyton. They are stoked about that pick. And now the Chiefs have a huge decision to make. Very, very huge decision to make. They are not happy right here. What they will do, let's see, who could perhaps trade up? Who could trade up maybe? Well, I guess for the purposes of this mock, I guess with the corners gone, I don't think it's Keon Coleman. I don't think it's Lad McConkey. I don't think that's the pick here. So they could trade back a little bit, but I'm not sure who they trade back with. Let's just go ahead. Let's just say they stay put and get themselves a defensive tackle, their eventual Chris Jones replacement. So that is the mock. I wish it would show the whole thing. But that is that. Thank you guys all for tuning into my mock draft. That was pretty fun. Oh, here we go. Full results. There we go. Take it in all its glory. Take it in. Take it in. All right. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Let me see if there are any other questions in this chat. Does not look like it. Does not look like it at all. So thank you guys again for tuning in. This is another fun episode of Wake and Take. We'll be back on our normal time again, 10 a.m. Eastern, back at Wake and Take here on the YouTube channel, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever you watch. So let's go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, And of course, if you can't make it live, there is a podcast network. Go ahead and check out the pod link in the description to listen to Wake and Take wherever you listen to your podcast. So thanks again, guys. Have a wonderful Wednesday and a fantastic rest of your week. Peace.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.